The Broken Promise. Commander Elena Rice stood at the viewport of the human embassy on Nexus Station, watching the gleaming ships of a dozen alien civilizations glide through the void. Despite the spectacular view, her expression remained grim. After 5 years as Earth's chief representative to the Galactic Consortium, she had learned to wear a diplomatic mask that revealed nothing of her thoughts. "They've denied our petition again," said Admiral Marcus Donovan, sliding a data tablet across the polished black table. "Third time this cycle." Elena didn't turn from the viewport. "Which reason this time?" "Technological incompatibility. The same excuse they've used for the last 15 resource claims." Elena finally faced the Admiral, her dark eyes reflecting the starlight. "Funny how our technology is incompatible only when we're trying to establish mining operations in resource-rich sectors. Yet we're perfectly compatible when they need our engineers to solve their problems." The Galactic Consortium had welcomed humanity with open arms, or their anatomical equivalents, nearly 40 years ago. Earth had been thrilled to join the community of spacefaring species, expecting a golden age of cooperation and advancement. The reality had proven quite different. "Come see this," Admiral Donovan said, activating a holographic display in the center of the room. Dr. Chen finally decoded those encrypted transmissions we intercepted from the Zhorek delegation. Elena approached the shimmering blue projection, which displayed a series of charts and alien text. Translation: "It's a demographic study of human colonies, birth rates, expansion patterns, technological adoption curves. They've been monitoring us like we're some kind of experiment." Donovan's voice tightened. "But that's not the worst part. Look at this section." The hologram shifted to reveal a complex diagram labeled Human Containment Initiative. Elena's blood ran cold as she read through the translated document. "This is a systematic plan to restrict human expansion and appropriate our innovations. They'd classified us as a potentially disrupted species." "It gets worse," Donovan continued, advancing through the files. "They've been selectively sharing outdated technology while harvesting our most creative solutions. Remember that revolutionary propulsion system Dr. Lakshmi developed? The consortium claimed it needed further study before implementation. Meanwhile, they've been quietly adapting it for their military vessels." Elena's diplomatic mask cracked as anger flashed across her face. For years, she had defended the consortium to skeptical human leaders, believing in the promise of galactic unity. Now she felt like a fool. How long has this been happening? Based on these documents, since day one. They never saw us as equals, Elena. We were always just a resource to be managed. Before she could respond, her communication device chimed. "Commander Reyes, the Consortium Council requests your presence for an emergency session in 2 hours." "Acknowledge," she replied, then turned to Donovan. "Have you shared this with Earth Central?" "Sent through secure channels this morning. They're convening an emergency meeting of their own." Elena nodded, her mind racing through options. "We need to buy time. I'll attend this council meeting and play the role they expect, the cooperative human representative. Meanwhile, gather every scrap of intelligence we have on their operations and their true technological capabilities." "What about Dr. Chen?" Donovan asked. "Should I bring him into this?" Elena paused. Dr. Nathan Chen was humanity's most brilliant physicist, currently working on a classified project far from the prying eyes of the consortium. His research into quantum fields had yielded promising results that the consortium would certainly want to control. "No, keep him isolated and protected. His work may be our only advantage." 2 hours later, Elena sat in the Grand Consortium Council chamber, a vast circular room where representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations gathered. The Zhorek delegate, an imposing figure with iridescent scales and 4 manipulator arms, was addressing the assembly. Concerning patterns of human activity in the Rigel sector, their mining operations have expanded beyond agreed parameters, threatening the ecological balance. Elena fought to maintain her composure. The ecological balance concern was laughable. The Zorak themselves had strip-mined 3 planets in the adjacent sector just last year. When it was her turn to speak, she approached the central podium with measured steps. "The consortium's concerns are noted," she began, her voice steady despite her inner fury. "Humanity remains committed to cooperation and compliance with established protocols. We will adjust our operations accordingly." The lies tasted bitter, but she maintained her diplomatic smile. As she returned to her seat, her personal device vibrated with a message from Earth Central. "Co-NC US REACHAED. Prepare for Puerto Kiko el Omega. Protocol Omega." The contingency plan that no one had ever expected to activate. A complete withdrawal of humanity from the consortium and known space. It had been developed years ago as a theoretical last resort, a way to protect human civilization if the galactic community turned hostile. Now it seemed the theoretical had become necessary. Over the next week, Alina maintained her diplomatic duties while covertly coordinating with Earth Central. Human ships began repositioning under the guise of routine maneuvers. Colonial outposts initiated low-profile evacuations, disguised as personnel rotations. All the while, Alina attended consortium functions with a smile, raising glasses with the very beings who had planned humanity's subjugation. 10 days after discovering the containment initiative, Alina received a secure transmission from Dr. Nathan Chen himself. "The quantum fold is operational," he reported, dark circles under his eyes betraying weeks of sleepless work. "We've successfully tested it between Earth and Proxima Centauri. The drive can transport entire stations, Commander. We can move everything." The quantum fold was humanity's ace, a transportation technology that operated on principles entirely different from the consortium's warp drives. It created temporary folds in space-time, allowing instantaneous travel without leaving a traceable signature. Most importantly, it could reach regions of space that the consortium had never explored. "How many ships can we outfit with the drive?" Alina asked. "That's the beauty of it," Chen replied, a tired smile crossing his face. "We don't need to outfit individual ships. We've developed fold generators that can create a bubble large enough to transport entire fleets, even space stations, in one jump." The implications were staggering. Humanity could disappear en masse, taking their civilization beyond the consortium's reach. Earth Central convened a secret council of representatives from every human colony. Alina attended via secure quantum link, presenting the evidence of the consortium's betrayal alongside Dr. Chen's breakthrough. The debate was brief. The choice between slow subjugation and risky freedom was no choice at all. Operation Exodus was approved unanimously. Over the following month, humanity prepared in secret. The quantum fold generators were constructed in hidden facilities. Colonial populations were quietly briefed. Essential resources were gathered, all while Alina and other human representatives maintained a facade of business as usual. The consortium grew suspicious as human activity patterns shifted, but their queries were met with plausible explanations. Mining slowdowns were attributed to equipment upgrades. Reduced trade was blamed on production issues. When questioned directly about unusual ship movements, Alina cited a defensive exercise in response to pirate activity. "You seem preoccupied, Commander," observed the Mech-Terry ambassador, a being of living crystal, during a diplomatic reception. "Is something troubling your species?" Alina raised her glass in a toast. "Not at all, Ambassador. Humanity has never been more certain of its path." It was perhaps the only honest statement she had made in weeks. The night before Exodus, Alina stood once more at the embassy viewport, memorizing the view of alien stars that humanity would leave behind. Admiral Donovan joined her in silence, both contemplating the magnitude of what they were about to do. "Do you think they'll follow us?" she finally asked. Donovan shook his head. "They don't have the capability. The quantum fold operates on principles their science hasn't even theorized. By the time they figure it out, we'll be established in the new frontier. And if they do eventually find us, Then they'll meet a humanity that's had time to develop on its own terms, without their interference or limitations. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You did everything you could to make this partnership work, Elena. They're the ones who chose exploitation over cooperation. Elena nodded, her reflection in the viewport transforming from diplomat to revolutionary. Tomorrow, we rewrite the story of our species, not as a footnote in their galactic history, but as authors of our own destiny. As the final hours counted down, Elena prepared for her last appearance before the Consortium Council, a farewell they wouldn't recognize until it was too late. The silent departure. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from the 27-member species took their seats. Rumors had spread about unusual human activity, and many delegates exchanged suspicious glances as Commander Elena Reyes entered the chamber. Elena had chosen her attire carefully for this final appearance, a formal military uniform rather than the diplomatic robes she typically wore. It was a subtle statement, but one that several of the more observant delegates noticed immediately. The Council recognizes Commander Elena Reyes of Earth, announced the Zhoric chairbeing, its voice amplified throughout the chamber. Elena approached the central podium with measured steps. In her ear, a tiny communicator counted down. 18 minutes until the first quantum fold activations began. Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Consortium, she began, her voice steady and clear. For 40 years, humanity has participated in this grand experiment of interspecies cooperation. We have shared our innovations, respected your customs, and believed in the promise of a united galaxy. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. This was not the typical opening to a human address. Today, I come before you not with a petition or a grievance, but with an announcement. 15 minutes on the countdown. Humanity has decided to chart its own course among the stars. Murmurs swept through the chamber. The chairbeing leaned forward. Clarify your statement, Commander. Are you suggesting some form of policy disagreement? Elena smiled, a genuine smile, the first she had shown in this chamber for months. I am announcing that as of this moment, humanity is formally withdrawing from the Galactic Consortium. All treaties, agreements, and obligations are hereby terminated. The chamber erupted in a chaos of voices. The Mech-Terry ambassador rose from his crystalline seat. This is unprecedented. You cannot simply withdraw from established galactic protocols. Actually, we can, Elena replied calmly. Article 7 of the Founding Charter grants any species the right to self-determination. We are exercising that right. The Zhoric chairbeing scales flushed a deep purple. This is about the resource allocation disputes, isn't it? We can revisit those decisions. This is about much more than resources, Elena interrupted, abandoning diplomatic niceties. 12 minutes. This is about the containment initiative, the systematic suppression of human advancement, the classified studies on controlling our population growth. A sudden silence fell over the chamber. Yes, we know about all of it, Elena continued. The human question you've been secretly debating, the technology you've withheld while harvesting our innovations, the territories you've promised and then denied. The Novat representative, a being of pure energy contained in a mechanical shell, floated forward. Commander Reyes, these are serious accusations that require discussion. Surely we can. The time for discussion has passed, Elena cut in. 9 minutes. For too long, you've seen humanity as a resource to be managed rather than allies to be respected. We gave you our trust, and you responded with manipulation and deceit. Across human space, the first quantum fold generators were powering up. On Earth's moon, in the hidden facility where Dr. Chen had perfected his revolutionary technology, massive energies began to build. You speak of betrayal, hissed the Zhoric chairbeing, yet you appear to have been planning this rebellion for some time. We call it self-preservation, Elena replied. 6 minutes. And yes, we've been planning it since we discovered your true intentions. The containment strategies, the technology suppression, the territorial restrictions disguised as ecological concerns. On distant mining outposts, human workers boarded evacuation ships. In orbital habitats, families gathered their most precious possessions. In research stations throughout consortium space, scientists secured their data and prepared for departure. "What exactly do you hope to achieve?" asked the Mecteri. "Where will you go?" "All navigable space is charted and claimed. All resource-rich systems are already allocated." Alina's smile widened. 3 minutes. That's where you're wrong. Your understanding of navigable space is limited by your technology and imagination. Humanity has found another way. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the chamber. A junior Zoric official rushed to the chair being, whispering urgently in its ear equivalent. "What is happening?" demanded the chair being, its composure cracking. "Our sensors are detecting massive energy buildups in human territories." "That would be the farewell demonstration," Alina said calmly. 1 minute. A glimpse of what you could have had if you treated us as genuine partners instead of problems to be managed. On Earth, the first quantum fold expanded, a massive bubble of distorted space-time encompassing the entire Sol system. For a brief moment, every consortium monitoring station registered an energy signature unlike anything they had ever detected. Then Earth and its colonies simply vanished. The chamber's holographic displays flickered with emergency reports as human outposts throughout consortium space disappeared one after another. Ships, stations, mining facilities, all winked out of existence without warning. "What have you done?" gasped the Novat representative, its energy form pulsing with agitation. "We've gone beyond your reach," Alina answered. "To regions of space your ships cannot follow, using principles your science has yet to discover." The final countdown in her ear reached 0. Throughout the chamber, human diplomats and staff members activated personal quantum fold devices, small enough to fit in a pocket, yet powerful enough to transport a single individual across vast distances. Alina reached into her uniform pocket. "This is humanity's farewell to the consortium. You sought to contain us. Instead, you've freed us to become something greater than you ever imagined." Before the stunned council could respond, Alina activated her device. A small bubble of distorted space enveloped her. And some of the smaller species are actually sending out open broadcasts, hoping to reach us. The krill in particular. They're asking for help. Their life support systems are failing without the maintenance protocols our engineers designed. Alina considered this. The Krell had been among the few consortium members who had treated humans with genuine respect. "Record their coordinates. We'll send a discreet team to assist them. Not for the consortium's sake, but because it's the right thing to do." Playing the savior already, Donovan raised an eyebrow. "Not saviors. Just showing them what true cooperation looks like." Alina turned away from the viewport. "Besides, we may need allies in the future. The consortium won't stay broken forever." As humanity settled into their new home among the uncharted stars, the legend of their disappearance grew throughout the consortium. Some claimed they had ascended to another plane of existence. Others believed they had found a way to travel to another galaxy entirely. Only the highest levels of consortium leadership knew the humbling truth: that humanity had developed technology that made the consortium's most advanced systems look primitive by comparison. And in their absence, the carefully managed order of the consortium began to crumble, as more species questioned the restrictions placed upon them and wondered what they might achieve if they followed humanity's bold example. The New Dawn and Reckoning. 5 years after the Great Exodus, the Human Federation thrived across its new frontier. What had begun as emergency settlements had evolved into prosperous colonies, connected by a network of quantum fold gates that allowed instantaneous travel between worlds separated by hundreds of light years. Dr. Nathan Chen stood in the center of Unity Station's massive laboratory complex, surrounded by a team of the Federation's brightest minds. On a circular platform before them, the latest version of the quantum fold generator hummed with power, a sleek device that bore little resemblance to the bulky prototypes they had used during the escape from consortium space. The phase stabilizers are holding at optimal levels, reported Dr. Lakshmi Patel, monitoring a holographic display of the generator's quantum field. Synchronization across all test points is perfect. Chen nodded in satisfaction. Activate the observational array. The laboratory's ceiling retracted, revealing a transparent dome that offered an unobstructed view of the stars above. Around the perimeter of the dome, advanced sensors extended on mechanical arms, focusing on a distant point in space. Target locked, confirmed a young engineer. Generating fold in 3, 2, 1. A barely perceptible ripple distorted the starfield. Then, silently, a massive object appeared in orbit around Unity Station, a derelict consortium cargo vessel, its hull marked with the insignia of the Krell Trade Authority. Chen approached the viewport, studying the ship with a critical eye. Structural integrity maintained at 99.8%. Lakshmi replied. Power systems dormant but intact. Life support offline, as expected for an abandoned vessel. This was no mere scientific demonstration. The ability to reach back into consortium space and extract objects undetected represented a significant strategic advantage, one that Commander Elena Reyes, now Admiral Reyes, had specifically requested. Inform the Admiral that Project Retriever was successful, Chen instructed. We can now transport objects from consortium space without leaving any trace of our presence. 2 hours later, Chen stood in New Horizons' Strategic Command Center, explaining the implications of the breakthrough to Admiral Reyes and the Federation Council. The practical applications are extensive, he concluded. We can gather intelligence, retrieve abandoned human assets, even extract refugees if necessary, all without alerting the consortium to our location. Reyes leaned forward, her once dark hair now streaked with silver. What about the reverse? Could they use similar technology to find us? Extremely unlikely, Chen assured her. The quantum fold operates on principles they haven't even theorized. Our departure destroyed every research facility where we developed the technology, and all personnel involved came with us. Counselor Amara Jackson, representative from the colony world New Terra, raised her hand. Dr. Chen, while your achievement is remarkable, I must question the wisdom of maintaining contact with consortium space at all. We left to escape their influence. Why risk reconnection? It was a sentiment shared by many across the Federation, the desire for complete separation from their former oppressors. But Reyes had a different perspective. Isolation isn't security, Counselor, she replied. Intelligence is. Understanding how the consortium is evolving in our absence allows us to prepare for any potential future contact. What's left to understand? Asked Counselor Matteo Diaz from Avalon Colony. Our reports indicate they're still in economic freefall. 3 more species have withdrawn. Their precious order is collapsing. Reyes activated a holographic display showing the latest intelligence gathered from their stealth probes. Yes, but collapse creates desperation. Some factions are already calling for a concentrated effort to rediscover the human technology. Others are suggesting more aggressive measures to solve their economic crisis, including expansion into previously restricted territories. The display shifted to show a consortium military vessel firing upon a civilian transport belonging to one of the smaller member species that had attempted to withdraw. The dissolution of the consortium isn't proceeding peacefully, Reyes continued. And if they ever discover our location, we need to be prepared. Dr. Chen's breakthrough gives us that advantage. The Council voted to approve continued development of the retrieval technology, with strict protocols for its use. As the meeting adjourned, Chen approached Reyes privately. There's something else, he said quietly. Something I didn't want to share with the full Council yet. Reyes raised an eyebrow. Go on. The quantum fold technology has evolved beyond our initial projections. It's not just about transportation anymore. Chen's eyes gleamed with the excitement of discovery. We're beginning to understand the fundamental structure of space-time in ways that could revolutionize everything. Energy production, matter manipulation, even the potential to create stable pocket dimensions. Reyes considered the implications. Can it be weaponized? Chen hesitated. Theoretically, yes. A targeted fold could disrupt atomic structures or remove sections of a ship or station instantly. But that's not the direction I want to take this research. Nor do I, Reyes assured him. But we need to understand all possibilities. The consortium taught us that lesson the hard way. 3 months later, the Federation faced its first direct contact with their former oppressors. The lone Krell ship appeared at the edge of Newterra's system, not through quantum fold technology, but via conventional warp drive. Its presence triggered immediate security protocols, but rather than attacking, the vessel broadcast a simple message on all frequencies. To the people of Earth and her colonies, we come in peace, seeking asylum and alliance. The consortium has fallen. Help us. The ship carried Ambassador Trell, once the Krell representative to the Consortium Council, and one of the few aliens who had openly questioned the treatment of humanity. He was brought to New Horizon under heavy security, where he met with Admiral Reyes and key council members. The situation has deteriorated beyond our worst predictions, Trell explained, his translucent appendages trembling with exhaustion. When humanity departed, it exposed the fundamental flaws in the consortium's structure. Without your innovations to exploit, the dominant species turned on the rest of us. Holographic images showed the devastation. Consortium worlds in turmoil, space stations dark and abandoned, refugees fleeing on overcrowded ships. The Jorek and Mekteri finally revealed their true nature, Trell continued. They began forcibly extracting technology and resources from the smaller member species. When we resisted, they responded with military force. Reyes studied the Krell ambassador carefully. How did you find us? Our location should have been impossible to determine. Trell produced a small device. This was left behind by your medical team when they secretly helped us repair our life support systems 2 years ago. It contained coordinates, not to your core worlds, but to this outer system, with instructions to come only in dire need. Reyes nodded slightly. She had authorized that mission herself, against the advice of her Security Council. The Krell had been allies, in their way, and she hadn't been willing to let them suffer. What exactly are you asking of us? Asked Counselor Jackson, skepticism evident in her tone. Sanctuary for my people, first and foremost, Trell replied. The Krell number only a few million, and our ships can no longer evade the consortium patrols. Beyond that, his large compound eyes fixed on Reyes. We ask you to consider returning, not as subjects of the consortium, but as the force that reshapes it into what it always should have been. The request sparked intense debate among the Federation Council. Many argued against any involvement with their former oppressors. Others saw a strategic advantage in establishing a presence in their old territories. The final decision rested with the full citizenry, who voted in a Federation-wide referendum. The result was a compromise. The Krell would be granted settlement rights on an uninhabited world within Federation space. A diplomatic mission would be sent to assess the situation in former consortium territory. But there would be no general return. Humanity had built something precious in their new home, and they would not risk it. 1 year later, Admiral Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the FSS Horizon, humanity's most advanced vessel, as it approached the former consortium's central world using quantum fold technology. The ship remained cloaked from conventional sensors, allowing them to observe without being detected. What they found exceeded even the Krell's descriptions of collapse. The once mighty central station hung in space, sections of it dark and lifeless. The elaborate defense grid had been cannibalized for parts. Ships from various species fought over docking rights, while others fled toward the outer systems. It seems almost poetic, observed Captain James Wong, the Horizon's commanding officer. They created a system that could only function by exploiting others, and when the exploitation stopped, the system failed. Reyes watched a Jorek military vessel fire upon a civilian transport. There's nothing poetic about suffering, Captain, even if it's partly self-inflicted. For 3 weeks, the Horizon gathered intelligence, occasionally using their retrieval technology to extract abandoned data cores and technology samples. The picture that emerged was complex, not simply a collapse, but a transformation, as various species formed new alliances based on mutual need rather than hierarchical control. On the final day of their observation mission, Rise made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. She ordered the Horizon to decloak in full view of the central station and broadcast a message on all frequencies. This is Admiral Elena Rise of the Human Federation. 5 years ago, we left this space when it became clear that the consortium viewed us not as partners, but as resources to be exploited. We have watched your society collapse in our absence, and we have seen the suffering that has resulted. Throughout the station and on vessels across the system, beings of all species gathered around communication screens, astonished by the return of the mysterious humans. We did not leave to cause your downfall, Rice continued. We left to secure our freedom and our future. In doing so, we discovered that true cooperation, true community, cannot be built on exploitation and control. It must be founded on mutual respect and genuine partnership. She paused, allowing her words to translate across a dozen alien languages. The Human Federation extends an invitation to all species who wish to build such a partnership. We offer neither charity nor dominance, but the opportunity to create something new, a galactic community based on equality and shared advancement. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ships from smaller consortium species approached the Horizon, transmitting messages of support and requests for dialogue. Even some Joric vessels broke formation, their captains making individual decisions to seek this new alliance. 6 months later, representatives from 14 former consortium species gathered on New Horizons Station for the signing of the Galactic Accord, a new framework for interstellar cooperation based on principles of mutual respect and fair exchange. Dr. Nathan Chin presented each delegation with a basic version of the quantum fold technology, the first step in a measured sharing of advanced human innovations. As the ceremony concluded, Ambassador Trell approached Admiral Reyes. "When you left, we thought you had abandoned the galaxy to its fate. Now I understand. You had to leave so that something better could be born from the ashes of what failed." Reyes watched as human scientists and engineers mingled with their alien counterparts, freely exchanging ideas without fear of exploitation. "Sometimes you have to walk away to find your true path," she replied. "But that doesn't mean you can't extend a hand to those who wish to walk it with you."